coming for you!
I can't hold on, I'm slipping!
Hold on just a little bit longer! Coming for you!
Gabe!
For fans of high-altitude action and Sylvester Stallone's iconic mountain climbing heroics, there's good news climbing over the horizon. Cliffhanger is back in the conversation, but with the twist of a reboot. The long-awaited sequel to the 1993 classic is moving forward, and not only that, it's also getting a full-blown reboot. After years of fans wondering if Gabe Walker would ever return, the franchise is now expanding in exciting new ways that could give us both a fresh take and a nostalgic continuation. So if you've been hoping for more snow, stunts, and survival, the future's looking bright. The original Cliffhanger, directed by Renny Harlin and released in 1993, was a massive hit. Stallone played Gabe Walker, a mountain rescue expert who unknowingly gets pulled into a heist after being hired under false pretenses by a gang of violent criminals. With its mix of breathtaking mountain scenery, gripping suspense, and intense action, the film stood out as one of Stallone's most memorable roles of the early 90s. Critics praised it for its tight pacing and effective thrills, and audiences clearly agreed. It made around $250 million worldwide, making it one of Stallone's biggest non-Rocky or Rambo successes. For years, talk of a sequel, Cliffhanger 2, floated around Hollywood. There were even times when Stallone was confirmed to return, but plans kept shifting. Fast forward to now, and there's finally concrete movement. But here's the twist. While Cliffhanger 2 was initially in development, the franchise is also being rebooted with an entirely new cast and approach. And based on what we know so far, both projects are worth getting excited about. Let's start with the reboot. The new version of Cliffhanger has officially been confirmed, and although Stallone won't be returning in front of the camera, the heart of the original story remains intact. The movie now stars James Bond legend Pierce Brosnan as Ray Cooper, a veteran climber who now runs a luxury chalet tucked away in the scenic Dolomites. Joining him is Lily James, playing his daughter Naomi, who is dealing with the aftermath of a terrifying climbing accident. When a weekend retreat for a billionaire son turns into a dangerous kidnapping, Naomi is forced to face her fears and race against time to save her family. It's a bold reimagining, but it stays true to the spirit of the original, a survival thriller with steep cliffs, high stakes, and no room for error. And although the characters and setting have changed, much of the original Cliffhanger 2 story structure seems to be preserved. So, in a way, the reboot is carrying forward some of the sequel's ideas while introducing new blood. The reboot is being directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, known for high-energy thrillers like Jungle Cruise and Black Adam. He's a filmmaker who knows how to deliver spectacle and tension, and he's already brought the cast and crew to the snow-covered peaks of Austria for filming. Collet-Serra described the project as a father-daughter take on Die Hard, and he's clearly aiming to give audiences a theatrical experience that's just as breathtaking as the original. He's also full of praise for Lily James, who trained extensively for the role and even performed some of her own climbing scenes. That kind of commitment already speaks volumes about the level of authenticity they're bringing to this reboot. Now, about Cliffhanger 2, the legacy sequel that fans have been talking about for years. While it may not be moving forward in its original form just yet, it's important to know that the reboot doesn't mean the end for the sequel. In fact, the fact that the franchise is coming back in such a big way only increases the chances that Stallone's version of the story will be revisited. After all, studios love when there's buzz around a property, and there's clearly plenty of interest here. The original Cliffhanger 2 plans had Stallone reprising his role as Gabe Walker, and directors like Rick Romanois and Jean-François Richet were attached at various points. While Stallone eventually exited the reboot project, there's still every possibility he could return for a separate sequel that continues Gabe's story. Think of it as a parallel path, one branch of the franchise following a new generation of climbers, while the other picks up where the original left off. This dual approach has worked well for other franchises, and there's no reason Cliffhanger couldn't do the same. And here's where things could get even more interesting. Imagine if Cliffhanger 2 brought in a rising star like Sydney Sweeney. With her growing popularity, action chops, and strong fan base, she could add a fresh dynamic to the sequel or even show up in the reboot universe as a major supporting character. Whether she plays a new trainee, a rival climber, or even a villain with her own reasons for being on the mountain, casting someone like her could help turn Cliffhanger 2 into another box office hit. The idea of her sharing the screen with Stallone or starring alongside Lily James in a next-gen team-up would definitely get people talking. Lily James recently gave us a little sneak peek at her upcoming movie Cliffhanger, and she made it clear that it's going to be quite different from Sylvester Stallone's original. You might remember the 1993 Cliffhanger. Stallone played a mountain climber who had to stop a mid-air heist after failing to save his girlfriend. It was a huge hit back then, raking in $255 million globally. Now, Lily's taking the lead in a new version directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, with Pierce Brosnan on board too. In a chat with Screen Rant, while promoting her other film Finally Dawn, Lily shared some cool tidbits. She didn't want to spill too much, but she talked about doing crazy practical stunts in the Dolomites for 6 weeks, literally hanging off mountains and pushing through snowstorms. The story apparently centers on her character Naomi and her sister Sydney, which already sets it apart from Stallone's guy-centric plot. She described it as feral and raw, saying it's more of a reimagining than a straight remake, and she's also producing it. Lily sounded super pumped, especially about how she got obsessed with rock climbing and loved getting physically strong for the role. It sounds like they really leaned into doing as much real climbing as possible, which is awesome for fans who love practical action. It's interesting that the reboot seems to highlight sisterly bonds, which switches up the old father-daughter die-hard vibe people first expected when Brosnan's casting was announced. They're deep into editing now, so a release late this year or early next seems pretty likely. Honestly, if you loved Stallone's version or just enjoy seeing Lily James in action, this reboot sounds like it could be something special. Her enthusiasm alone makes it promising. So, between the reboot and the still possible sequel, Cliffhanger as a franchise is clearly gearing up for a big return. The reboot is already well into production and shaping up to be an exciting standalone story that brings back everything fans loved about the original: intense stakes, stunning landscapes, and a hero pushed to their limits. At the same time, the door is wide open for Cliffhanger 2 to still happen, whether that's next year or a little further down the line. Sometimes these legacy action movies just need the right spark to get moving again. With new directors, fresh talent, and a big push from studios, it's not far-fetched to imagine both versions of Cliffhanger coexisting, one carrying on Gabe Walker's legacy and the other bringing in a whole new generation of mountaineering heroes. And that's kind of the best-case scenario for fans, getting the chance to experience the tension, thrills, and heart-pounding action of Cliffhanger in more than one way. Whether you're here for Stallone's gritty intensity or curious to see how Lily James and Pierce Brosnan take it to new heights, there's plenty to look forward to. With Cliffhanger 2 still very much a possibility and the reboot already climbing its way to theaters, the mountains aren't quiet anymore. The franchise is alive, scaling new ground, and ready to prove that it's still got the grip to thrill modern audiences, one cliff at a time. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.